Now, a week after violence rocked Bujumbura, leaving scores dead, some semblance of normality has returned to Burundi's capital. The United Nations has accused Burundi's security forces of summary executions, arrests and houses-to-house arrests, a claim rejected by authorities who say the military acted in a professional manner. CCTV's Robert Nagila reports from the capital, Bujumbura.
The crowds are back on the streets. Most businesses reopened, and the roads experiencing traffic once again. But beneath the surface, it is clear the city is still on edge. A heavy security presence, both police and military, at virtually every corner you turn to. There are numerous roadblocks in and around the city. We're not allowed to film them. Attempts to speak to the people are met with silence. Fear of reprisals and suspicion at whoever may be eavesdropping. The African Union says it is concerned of reports of people forced to flee from their homes and the continuing flow of refugees. A sentiment echoed by the International Committee of the Red Cross.
According to some sources, we have about 200,000 people who fled abroad. What we don't know exactly is the number of people displaced internally. We're not sure of any figure.
And with several countries withdrawing budgetary support, the impact on the civilian population is likely to have far-reaching consequences.
And the main concern is how people are suffering from the situation and how they will cope with the current situation, knowing that nowadays the main urgent thing is about food, is about medical supplies, and is about how those people actually that are wounded in the violence will be treated in those hospitals.
The United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is sending a special envoy to hold talks with regional governments and authorities here in Bujumbura. There is a fear, though, this small East African nation is spiraling out of control towards civil war, worse still, genocide. And on the streets, resignation of more violence to come. Robert Nagila, CCTV, Bujumbura, Burundi.
Well, let's now cross over to Robert Nagila. He's standing by for us in Bujumbura. Robert, the twin countries, Rwanda and Burundi, with a similar history, but Rwanda now politically, economically stable. What lessons can Rwanda, though, learn from the unfolding situation in Burundi?
Oh, absolutely, Beatrice. Well, if you speak to experts on the ground, they will tell you that it's probably the opposite. What lessons can Burundi learn from Rwanda? There are probably parallels to be drawn, but many of them will say that not that many. Then again, you also have to look at the situations in the two countries, how they arrived here in the first place. Whereas Rwanda has some very strong institutions, which the president appears to have gone through, and he does appear to have popular support on the ground as well. Whereas here in Burundi, you have a president who's also seeking a third term, but we witnessed those violent protests mid this year, and despite the fact that the situation on the surface appears to have cooled down, beneath the surface there's a lot of tension because nobody really is sure what's going to happen next, especially after the violence experienced a week ago. Then you look at as well economically, Rwanda coming out of the genocide, now more developed, stronger institutions as well, whereas here there's a huge problem with the economy. People are struggling, and with the withdrawal of donor funds, which mainly went for budgetary support in terms of the health area and other sectors of the economy, that has been withdrawn, and you can see that it's beginning to have an impact on the population. Food prices have skyrocketed. Accessing certain medical services is becoming a problem, especially for pregnant women and children as well. Beatrice?
Well, Robert, of course, and that brings us to Rwanda's past. And today, Rwanda is one of the world's fastest growing economies of 2015. To help our viewers, though, understand why the developments in Burundi are moving in an exact opposite direction to what Rwanda is going through, despite their shared horrible past and their proximity.
Well, it also has a lot to do with economic empowerment and institutions, as we said earlier. Rwanda, after the genocide, has followed a totally different path. It's got a much stronger economy than Burundi. It's got stronger institutions than Burundi. And the path really that President Kagame has followed towards gaining a third term has been totally different from what President Pierre Nkurunziza has followed in trying to get a third term to rule this country again. Then one of the bigger issues here is economic empowerment. Unemployment is very, very high on the ground here. You've got a lot of youth who are simply trying to get by and want to see their circumstances, their lifestyles changed. For them, they do not see any hope at this particular moment. However, when you talk to authorities here in Burundi, they will tell you that they had a lot of programs that they had put in place prior to this whole episode beginning mid this year. And they say that these development programs were disrupted. Now, President Pierre Nkurunziza is on record as saying that one of the reasons why he's running for a third term is because he would like to continue or to finish some of the projects that he has instituted and in terms of trying to bring about a better economy, empower people, get stronger institutions. When you speak to people on the streets, the protesters mainly and the opposition, they will disagree with him on that one.
All right, Robert Nagila for us there in Bujumbura. In the meantime, though, the African Union's Peace and Security Council has approved the sending of 5,000 peacekeepers to Burundi, invoking a rule which allows it to deploy a force without the consent of Burundi's leader. Burundi's presidency is yet to react to this decision. However, it has previously rejected calls for a peacekeeping mission. President Pierre Nkurunziza has less than 96 hours to respond to the AU resolution, which was drawn up late on Thursday. Burundi's representatives to the United Nations has been condemned for comments made on Thursday, praising what she termed as professionalism shown by the police and army corps during recent violent outbursts. Elisa Nkerabirori told delegates at a UN session that authorities had worked for the innocent populations. The comment was seized on by the U.S. representative to the United Nations Human Rights Council, Keith Harper, who said he had allegations police and the army corps had tied people up and shot them. After a U.S.-led diplomatic push, the 47-member Human Rights Council, which counts Burundi among members, approved the recommendations that the UN Human Rights Chief should send in a mission of experts who are to report regularly on the rights situation in Burundi. The UN Human Rights Chief Zaid Rad al-Husseini told the Council that at least 400 people have been killed since April the 26th and nearly 3,500 have been arrested in the political crisis.
Today, the Human Rights Council accepted a resolution to avert the escalation and expansion of the killing in Burundi. Today's special session is an attempt to prevent, and that's a key word, prevent mass atrocities by focusing attention and providing expert assistance in the region before it is too late.
Today's session with the resolution that was adopted, we now have a powerful tool. It's the strongest, I believe, and the quickest mechanisms that can be deployed, looking at all violations, all perpetrators in a manner that will be swift, in a manner that will be effective, and in a manner that will be to good use for trying to help, namely what we want to achieve, namely a political process, inclusive one, that will overcome the problems that we see in Burundi these days.